what exactly did you do in Africa?
So I climbed Kilimanjaro.
How crazy is that?
It was amazing, and it was one of the reasons why I had it booked, and I was like, it was one of the reasons why I contacted you guys as well, because I was like, I can't be ill. Like, I will not be able to do it if I'm ill, and there's no way I'm not doing it. And to be able to do that and not be in pain, not have to worry about the toilet, it was just, for me, that was like my goal. I was like, I need to get better and I need to get to the top. I was watching your testimonial videos while I was sitting there, and I was just like, that's what I need to be doing. Like, I can't, because nothing was making, like, none of the drugs were, they were just making me worse, if anything. It was like they'd kind of temporarily make you feel a bit better, but then you'd have so many side effects from them, and it's just not the route I ever wanted to go down. And also, like, they were like, you'll be on these for the rest of your life. And I was, I think I was 27 at the time, because when you go to the doctors and you tell them your symptoms, and they're like, oh, that's because of this and that's because of this. And it's wild, because they're like, oh, it's nothing to do with diet. Like, when I got diagnosed, I said to the specialist, do I need to change my diet? Like, do I need to stop it? And he was like, no, eat pizza, drink, do whatever you want, just take steroids. I'd be on steroids, and then I would stop, like, obviously wean off them, and then the enemas I was on. Every time I stopped them, I would then just have another flare up, like, and my arthritis would come back, and I would just sit and cry. Like, there was nothing. I couldn't work because I do dog walking. I couldn't work. Like, I just couldn't. It was like, and I couldn't go to the gym. I love going to the gym. Like, it was like, what am I doing? Sort of the first sort of 4 or 5 days, the first thing I noticed was how, like, not bloated I was. Like, because I'm always bloated, and that just went, and I was like, this is so weird. Like, 'cause my stomach was just not, like, sticking out. I was like, what is going on? I think my turning point was obviously when I was then taking medication, and then I'd stop taking them, then it would just happen again. And my main thing was not having, because for me, obviously, people get so many different symptoms, and for me, obviously the stomach and the toilet and everything was horrendous, but the arthritis for me was, I was like, it was making me, like, it was horrendous. And it was about, I must have been about 3 weeks in, and I hadn't had any of it. And I was just like, if this is what it takes for me to not be in that pain, then why is everyone not doing this? Why are doctors not recommending this? Because I was just like, before I started obviously this diet, I was like, nothing is helping. Like, nothing's making me feel better. Like, how do people live like this? And then it was like 3 or 4 weeks in, and I hadn't had anything. Like, not, and I was just like, this is how it should be. Why is this not recommended? Like, this should be things that doctors recommend and know about. And that for me, I think, was like, I was like, right. I mean, I'm quite strong willpowered anyway, and if I, like, set my mind to something, I'm like, right, doing it. And then also, obviously, when you get to the stage where you can bring in some herbs and spices and stuff, and you can bring in these little things, and even like lentils, like when I brought in lentils and quinoa and stuff like that, I was like, it just tastes completely different. And
those awesome those lentil wraps that you made, and how good were they?
Yeah.
How good were they?
Have I told you what I now do with them?
Tell me.
So I obviously make the lentil wraps, and now I cut them into triangles, put them in the air fryer, and it makes lentil crisp.
Shit. Oh my god. How good is that?
It's great. It's such a good snack. Yeah.
Oh, what a good idea. What a good idea. For all those watching, please make it and see how you go.
Give this video a thumbs up if you know what it's like to have colitis or Crohn's disease, and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. This channel was about helping people recover from colitis and Crohn's disease. If you go to our website and fill out the health survey, you are entitled to a free 30-minute consult from anywhere in the world. We look forward to hearing from you.
You started with us in January, start of this year.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been 10 months. Wow.
Yeah. Crazy. And I'm, like, not ill.
Right? Like, how good is that? Like, how good is it feeling? And you haven't even to worry about it. Yeah.
No. was just fine, like no issues. It was crazy.
Hey guys, welcome to another video. It's testimonial time, and we have Brooke here from the UK who's happy to share her story. It's a really amazing story, like all the other amazing people who have shared their story, to help you guys get better as well. So you get some hope that, you know, this condition can be healed and be medication free. So what we'll do is, obviously, like all the other testimonials, we'll go through different stages of how Brooke was able to heal. You know, start with the diagnosis, how she found us, how she found healing, and yeah, just go through it slowly. And I guess if, you know, we have anything else to say, we will. But let's start with you, Brooke, and just introduce yourself and start off with your diagnosis and you know, how you came across whatever and what made you change, etc. So just, yeah, floor is yours.
Yeah, hello. So basically, so I'd been poorly for probably, I would say, about a year and a half, and I just didn't know what was wrong. Like it started off quite mild and sort of having stomach pains and passing blood, and I would always feel quite faint and just lots of different things, but I just never knew what it was. And I'd go to the doctors and they'd just kind of like fob you off. And then it sort of escalated. I was away and literally just had all these pains come over me, and they were so horrific. I like thought I was going to die. And I'm not an exaggerator with pain. Like I've quite got a good pain threshold.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was a build up of things, and I was like, something is not right here. Like I know something's not right. And then and so what happened there? Oh yeah, so I'm trying to, because it's like been such a long time now.
Yeah,
I'm trying to think back to it. So then I started actually then I had a colonoscopy booked, and then I was feeling a little bit better. So I kind of put it off because I was just like worried about having one. So I kind of put it off, and then I just got even worse like after that. And then I was getting arthritis because I had so much inflammation in my body. I was then getting arthritis, and my hands were like doubling in size, like my knees, everything. And I was just like, couldn't get out of bed. Like Jack was having to help me get up, and it's a pain you just can't describe. So I was like, okay, I really need to get this sorted because it's definitely something going on. I didn't want to go down the route of drugs, purely because, I mean, I've never taken paracetamol or anything like that anyway. And actually mainly because when I got my dog, he was so poorly when he was a puppy, and he was in and out of the vets, and they basically were like, yeah, he's got ulcerative colitis. He needs to either go on steroids and antibiotics for the rest of his life, or you've got to have him put down, because he was so ill. And I was like, well, I don't want either of them options. Like, what are you talking about? He was only 8 months old. I was like, it's absolutely ridiculous. And I found a holistic vet who saved his life purely through, he did like a vaccination detox and put him on all this holistic stuff. And he's now 6 and he's loving life. He's so healthy. He still takes his holistic meds, and I've never had an issue since. And it's just crazy. So then I was like, oh God. So I basically, long story short, I went and had my colonoscopy, got diagnosed with ulcerative colitis. And I was quite lucky because I know sometimes it can take a long time to get, it can get years to take years to get diagnosed sometimes. But I was in a flare up when I had my colonoscopy. So obviously I had a lot of ulcer. I was very inflamed. So they said straight away, yeah, you've got that. So then they were listing off all these drugs I could go on. They gave me all these different pills, and because I was so poorly, I was like, right, I'm just going to take them. So then I started taking them. Then I was getting sick, like I was throwing up and getting migraines like from the tablets. So then I was like, well, these tablets are making me ill. Then they'd swap them. Then they'd give me an anti-sickness one. And then they'd be like, we'll take paracetamol for your headaches. And I was just like, no, I'm not doing this anymore. It's ridiculous. And I all this time I had been following you guys on Instagram. I can't remember. I actually think Jack might have even sent me your profile. But I'd been following you guys and I'd been like, I need to do that. I need to do that. But I was just a bit scared because I was so ill. I was like, I don't know like where to start. And then I was watching the testimonials. And that really is what made me be like, okay, I really need to do this, because I'm like a strong believer in it all. And just seeing people like turn their lives around from being that ill. And, you know, it's like, it's scary. Like, I remember once I was sitting in hospital from my arthritis and the amount of pain I was in and everything. And I was sitting in hospital and I was just like, they were just giving me whatever. And I was watching your testimonial videos while I was sitting there. And I was just like, that's what I need to be doing. Like, I can't, because nothing was making, like, none of the drugs they were just making me worse, if anything. It was like they'd kind of temporarily make you feel a bit better, but then you'd have so many side effects from them. And it's just not the route I ever wanted to go down. And also, like, they were like, yeah, you'll be on these for the rest of your life. And I was, I think I was 27 at the time. I was like, no, it's just ridiculous. So anyway, watched your testimonials. I'd be on steroids, and then I would stop, like, obviously wean off them. And then the enemas I was on, the action. I was on them. And and obviously a load of these other stuff. I can't remember all, but loads. And every time I stopped them, I would then just have another flare up, like, and my arthritis would come back, and I would just sit and cry. Like, there was nothing. I couldn't work because I do dog walking. I couldn't work. Like, I just couldn't. It was like, and I couldn't go to the gym. I love going to the gym. Like, it was like, what am I doing? So no, I was watching the testimonials and I was like, right, okay. So contacted you guys, and I had gone vegan anyway, but I wasn't like plant-based whole food. Like, I was I was eating the fake meats and stuff like that. So I obviously contacted you guys, and then
we had a pretty interesting chat. I think I recall how sort of deflated you were, because you know, like, nothing had sort of helped so far, and you were just like, you know, please help me, because obviously you didn't want to go down that route. So I was really, I wasn't depressed. I was on the verge. I'm not, like, I'm such a positive person, but it just was so draining, just being that poorly all the time. I'm not like, what do I do? I contacted you guys, I was like, no, I was like, save me. and here you are, which is crazy. Just going back to your comment about how you're watching the testimonials and how crazy is it that you're here, you know? So I mean, and Brooke started with us in January, 10 months ago, and she obviously did the 6-month program, and you know, she's been doing so well, you know, even after finishing with us, and we'll get to that later because there's some pretty exciting stuff to share. But I remember obviously you being pretty sick, and you obviously telling me that, like, hey, you know, like, the toilet bowl is like full of blood, and like, you know, I'm bleeding, and it's like, what do I do? And so obviously we obviously put you on a specific sort of, it was specifically designed for you only because of your location and season and all that kind of stuff. So you've got, you know, the simple potatoes, sweet potatoes, pumpkin, and you started getting into that. And I think early on, I think you did find some pretty good relief. Which is why you kept believing in it, because I think once you got rid of the vegan junk food, I think, you know, in going to Whole Foods, you started to see some good sort of relief. And
also oil, like, the difference I noticed taking oil out my diet is insane. Like, I couldn't quite believe it, because I kind of thought, oh, oil can't be that bad. That really, I was
It's amazing
surprised.
how significant that is too, because it's really high in calories. It's processed,
Hmm.
you know, and it's just not needed.
Hmm.
And once you start cooking without oil, and then potentially you have some oil again, you're kind of like, what is this greasy stuff? You know, I don't want to put this greasy.
You
I don't.
feel hungover. That you
It's so
feel
heavy.
hungover. That is the only way I can explain it. When
Yeah,
I've like had to have a bit of oil here and there, I feel hungover after I've eaten it. It's
yeah,
bizarre.
yeah, yeah. Well, that's because your body's so clean now that like it
Mm,
just anything that you eat, kind of you'll feel it, and it's not a bad thing. It's a good thing because
mm,
you know that the bad foods are the bad foods, the good foods are the good foods, and your body responds well to the good stuff, and that's the way it should be, not to the bad stuff. So, um,
yeah.
go through, I guess, go through the healing and sort of how you felt. I think you did go through a little mini detox where like you did
Yeah.
have increased symptoms.
Early on.
Yeah, you did have increased symptoms, and
Hmm.
I guess it was uncomfortable as it is for many people, but you hung in there. So just I guess
Hmm.
explain that process and explain that time and phase of your life if you can remember.
Yeah, I can. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was January, wasn't it? So long ago. So obviously you started me on like very back, but very stripped back. Soups, potatoes. I mean, that really was mainly like obviously lots of fruit,
Yeah.
which I love fruit. And do you know what? I did struggle like mentally a bit at first because I was just like, oh God, this is really stripped back. And
Mm.
even though I was saying to Jack, how people go from not being a vegan to doing this diet must be so hard because I
Yeah.
was like, oh God, this is hard. And I was already like halfway there. So yeah, it was really shit back. I was having like, it was the portion sizes that I had to get used to as well, like having that many, like, because obviously you're only eating fruit and veg
Mm.
and potatoes, but you have to eat enough calories. So you're just like, I thought I'd be hungry all the time. I was so full up all the time. So I would have like, yeah, for breakfast, I'd have like a big smoothie, like banana and mango or banana and blueberries, something like that. Um, and then eat for lunch, I'd either have another load of fruit and then have like potatoes and soup in the evening, or I would, if I fancy something savoury at lunch, I would then obviously go savoury from then on. The air fryer changed my life.
100%,
So good.
100%. Yeah.
They make the best chips ever.
I think I still have some pictures of your foods that you used to send me, so I might bring them up on
Yeah.
here. But yeah, I think you know what. Another thing is your taste buds change, don't they? And you start actually
Mm-hmm.
tasting the real food, not
Yes,
like the
you do.
condiment. So
No, I
um,
know. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's crazy. So I did that for a little while, and the first sort of 4 or 5 days, the first thing I noticed was how like not bloated I was.
mm,
Like, because I'm always bloated, and that just went, and I was like, this is so weird. Like, 'cause my stomach was just not like sticking out. I was like, what is going on? And then then I think it was about a week of doing it, and then I had some symptoms come back, and obviously contacted you. And you told me that's quite normal, and yeah, you just kind of have to push it. But because I'd seen the testimonials and kind of knew that was going to happen, I was just
you're
like,
prepared for it, kind of thing.
yeah, yeah. Um, so yeah, I just pushed through and carried on. And do you know what? The hardest thing for me was because I'm quite a social person. I'd like to
Mm,
go out.
I remember that.
Um, Me and Jack go out a lot. Like, that was probably what I found the hardest. But you get used to it. And I was just like, I ended up like I'd go to like brunch with the girls, and I'd just have my little lunchbox, and you just get used to it.
Well, you have to do what you got to
Um,
do, right? If you want to go
yeah,
through the process, if you want to get better, then you've got to do
yeah,
the things that are actually going to get you better. And I think you started to
yeah,
see more results. Therefore, you were less likely to eat something outside because you were like, okay, if I eat something outside, then it's going to push me back a little bit. And I think you did. You may have
exactly.
experienced that at some stage. But when you start to actually realize it yourself, that
Mm-hmm.
if I'm going to do this, like I need to do it this way for a period of time, so then I can then slowly expand my diet. And we did that too, which is which was really cool. And then you started making all this awesome stuff, and I was like, oh, I want to eat that. But anyway, so yeah, like drinking. Obviously being UK, it's a drinking culture.
That is socializing over here is drinking. So when you go out here, you go out to drink. That is not like that is. I mean, obviously you go for walks and stuff like that, but like it's like dinner and drinks. Let's go for bottomless brunch. Like it is just such a drinking culture here. Like even like, oh, do you want to come around for a bottle of wine? Like everything is around drinking. And I've always loved to drink, like knowing it's obviously made me ill. So at first, like that was hard, and I kind of felt a bit sorry for myself, which is just pathetic. But at first, I was just like, "Oh, is this not fair? Like, why have I got to do this?" But now I'm just like, it's. I don't know. You get so used to it, and you get so used to it. Actually, the thing I found difficult was I always thought, oh, I'm quite a confident person. Like I'll chat to anyone, like, and always thought that was, which I am. But actually, when I then took alcohol out of the equation, I was a bit like, oh God, I've got to go and sit with a group of my friends. Like my friends, obviously, I love them. Like, do you know what I mean? Nothing like that. But even, I don't know, just a social situation, basically. If we had to go to like a party, I was a bit like, oh God, I haven't got that. So then pushing through that, and actually now I can just go out, not have a drink, be absolutely myself. Like that was really like shocked me kind of thing. That I never thought I would, like I was like, yeah, I'll be fine having a drink. Like I'll just be, and I was just a bit like, oh, this is strange. But how nice now that I don't feel like I have to do that.
Well, it's ingrained.
That is like it is ingrained, and it's such a, like, even over here, if you go out, people are like, if you're not drinking, people are like, well, why aren't you drinking? Why aren't you drinking? And it's like, it's weird that you're not drinking.
Yeah, you feel like that, don't you?
Why?
Yeah.
But actually, it should be like, why are you drinking?
Yeah. Why do I have to drink when you're drinking? Yeah. I mean, it's the same in Australia and New Zealand for sure. I mean,
is it?
Yeah, I mean, lots of drinking here, lots of drinking culture. I mean, I used to do the same thing. I never used to really like the alcohol as much, but yeah, like everybody else does it. So why should I not be the one drinking? So, but now, it's been 10 years for me sober, so I couldn't care less, to be honest. And we know what alcohol does to us. I mean, it's class 1 carcinogen, it's cancer causing, and it's just not enough. I mean, it's poison, and the more we kind of change the attitude towards drinking, and it numbs us. It numbs us, and it's not necessary. So that's a really big factor for you as well, but coming from a drinking culture. So I mean, you've had so many life changes during this whole process, which is incredible, and like just hearing some of your, what you used to do and how you changed. And then also we got into the mental aspect, didn't we? Where we really started to look into the mind and mindfulness and being at peace with yourself, and that was really key as well. So after sort of going through obviously a little bit of detoxification or increased symptoms, I think it started to settle. And then you started to go, right, I think I'm starting to feel it. And we started to,
and then that's then more encouraging when you're starting to, and like my hair just like was growing, and my skin was, I was like, what is happening to me?
Yeah. You're changing, you're transforming into like a goddess, and that's it. That's it. And that's the way it should be too, because it's like you're putting nourishing foods inside of you. And your body is treating you're treating your body right. You're treating your body that, like, with with good food, and it's going to show you that, you know, and that's how you heal from the inside out, you know, because there's no quick fix, there's no like shortcut, you know, and this is why you've seen this happen as a long-term solution for yourself, and that's why you continue to eat the same food and stay plant-based, because there's absolutely no need to eat anything else. And obviously you've added so many other amazing foods to your you know, diet.
Yeah.
But it's still the core that matters, and that's what we focus on. And like you said, air fried potato chips can't go wrong, you know, and it's delicious.
You can't go wrong. It's so good.
Yeah. So
bit of homemade hummus.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Great.
So I guess what was one of the things that or was the most I guess influential aspect to sticking to it and knowing that you were getting better? Like what made you sort of go, right, I think this is the path that I need to take? Like when did you see that?
So it was probably quite early on, I would say, like after the first sort of couple of weeks. I think do you know what it was? It was when because obviously the stomach issues and everything like that was so horrendous. And like there was times where like I've collapsed in the hallway and Jack's had to like pick me up and was like, and it was just so, and I think my turning point was obviously when I was then taking medication, and then I'd stop taking them, then it would just happen again. And my main thing was not having, because for me, obviously people get so many different symptoms. And for me, obviously the stomach and the toilet and everything was horrendous, but the arthritis for me was, I was like, it was making me, like, it was horrendous. And it was I must have been about 3 weeks in, and I hadn't had any of it. And I was just like, if this is what it takes for me to not be in that pain, then why is everyone not doing this? Why are doctors not recommending this?
I said the same thing.
Because I was just like, before I started obviously this diet, I was like, nothing is helping. Like nothing's making me feel better. Like, how do people live like this? And then it was like 3 or 4 weeks in, and I hadn't had anything. Like not, and I was just like, this is how it should be. Why is this not recommended? Like this should be things that doctors recommend and know about. And that for me, I think was like, I was like, right, I mean, I'm quite strong willpowered anyway. And if I like set my mind to something, I'm like, right, doing it.
I think that's one of the,
for me was probably just feeling better.
And that willpower that you had that you just mentioned, I think that's so key. It's so important to know and believe in yourself, because in the end, who's doing all the healing work? You know, it's you and your body. You are with your body. Don't fight your body. You know, go with it. You know, and I think you started to understand that, and then, you know, getting into the sort of calmness with the mind and not getting upset at certain things, not being anxious. I think anxiety is obviously with everybody, but you started to get less anxious because you just you knew, you know,
and also like less stress, like so much less stress, just like at peace, and just calm, and just not feeling like, I don't know, it's hard to explain a feeling, isn't it? But yeah, it just was really, and even all the information and the way you explained to me, because when you go to the doctors and you tell them your symptoms, and they're like, oh, that's because of this and that's because of this, and it's wild because they're like, oh, it's nothing to do with diet. Like when I got diagnosed, I said to the specialist, do I need to change my diet? Like, do I need to stop it? And he was like, no, eat pizza, drink, do whatever you want, just take steroids.
How many times have we heard that before? Like, I mean, I think it's pretty shocking, when NHS does that. Like that's just it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing.
That was private. That wasn't even NHS. That
Oh,
was
was it?
private. That
Oh,
was a
wow.
private specialist as well. Yeah. So it's like, yeah, it was just coming from someone like that. I was just, and
Yeah.
even I was like, surely not.
Yeah. And you're obviously paying
But
big bucks for the private session as well.
yeah, exactly. But I just wanted to get it sorted,
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
they done that. But so so it was, what I'm trying to get at is the way you explained to me actually why your body was creating the ulcers, and what your body, that's actually your body trying to heal. That's not like, that's your body trying to get rid of all these bad toxins that you're putting into yourself. And the way you explained everything to me, I just understood it more. Like, I understood what was going on with my body. I knew what I needed to do to change that, and I was doing it, and it was working.
You know, when you start seeing the changes, you start believing even more, and that's the reassurance that you get. And then I'm backing you up. I'm going, that's it, Brooke. Like, this is it. This is where you sort of change the game for yourself, and you're like, you're on a path to wellness, and just be with your body, love your body, and let it do its thing, because it's trying to help you.
And even having the calls with you every week was really, really, really helpful, because if I ever had a day, or like if I ever had a week where I was feeling a bit like, oh, I don't know, just a bit down or whatever, and then I would speak to you, and then you get me like hyped up again. I was like, yes. So having them calls as well is just, brilliant.
Yeah, well, thank you. Yeah, I mean,
it's changed my life. It really has.
Yeah, and I'm so glad, because this is what we set out to do. You know, because when I was going through it, I would have loved someone to say, hey, this is what's supposed to happen, and this is what your body is trying to do. So, you know, respect it and go with it. Do what it's, you know, it's trying to help you. So, and you know what? I think another thing that we talked a lot about was like how to create different foods and what to change subtly to then make it a little bit easier for you to eat. Because it is a little bit hard. Like, I mean, you know, everybody goes through a phase where they just don't like bananas, and the smoothie gets a little bit, you know, like, oh,
my soup. I made the same soup for like 2 weeks. Bad mistake. Even now, I made it the other day, and I was like, I don't think I can stop it. So from then on, I just changed it up what I was eating.
But that worked.
It worked. It did. Yeah,
and it was a very subtle change. Like, maybe it would add like a little bit of herb or something that would just increase the flavor, change the flavor up. And then getting the air fryer helped, because it then started to sort of crisp up the chips, and then the chip dipping into the soup. It's glorious.
And it is like, food does start to taste different to you. It's really weird, but you, like you say, you can taste the food. It's not like covered in all this stuff and oils and just everything that it's. And then also, obviously, when you get to the stage where you can bring in some herbs and spices and stuff, and you can bring in these little things, and even like lentils, like when I brought in lentils and quinoa and stuff like that, I was like, it just tastes completely different.
And those awesome those lentil wraps that you made, and how good were they?
Yeah.
How good were they?
Have I told you what I now do with them?
Tell me.
So I obviously make the lentil wraps, and now I cut them into triangles, put them in the air fryer, and it makes lentil crisp.
Shit. Oh my God. How good is that?
It's great. It's such a good snack. Yeah.
Oh, what a good idea. What a good idea. For all those watching, please make it and see how you go. Enjoy it.
Yeah.
There's quite a few recipes now on the lentil wrap on YouTube. I think people started to find out about it, and
people are picking up on it, aren't they?
Yeah. And then you've sort of gone a little bit further and made some chips, which no oil, you know, and you can flavor it yourself. You've made it yourself. You know what's inside, and how good does that feel? So moving on to your life now, you know, I mean, you've done some pretty amazing things. I think no, wait, you started going back to the gym, and I think that just lifted your spirits so much more, because you're just like, I'm back in, I'm the Brooke that I was, but even better, and you just felt so much at ease with everything. So I think that was cool as well.
Yeah, that was a real turning point for me, being able to go back to the gym, because even like I go in the mornings, it gets my day started, like mentally, everything, and not being able to do that was such a hard thing for me.
Yeah.
And as soon as I was able to go back to the gym, I was just, I think it was must have been about 6 weeks in.
It was pretty close to early on because you were doing so well.
Yeah.
And actually,
yeah. But I took it easy at first, and I found that hard as well. I was like, I was like, right.
You don't want to push it. You don't want to push it.
No,
yeah.
no.
And another thing that I just want to bring up, like, so you do a lot of dog walking, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so
yeah, that's my job. Yeah.
Yeah, and so like it's really hard for you to find a toilet anywhere, right? So your job is like, you know, walking dogs. Is it in the morning?
Interesting situations.
Yeah, it's in the morning, isn't it? Or when do you do it?
I do it all day.
All day. Wow.
Yeah,
so
I usually start at about 8 and then finish about 4. So
your job is like, you know, really important to if you're walking outside, you know, if something happens to you, you know, like you can't do your job properly. So even better that you're so much better now and you can do everything properly, you know. So.
And even just things like now, like before, if I would go on a trip or go on holiday, whatever, I would always be like, I know I'm going to get ill, because I just always would, because I'd go on holiday and I'd drink and eat whatever I want, and then I would be so poorly. And to now go away and have it, like I went to the same place this year as I did before I got when I was in Ibiza when I was really poorly, and I've been there then again since I've been better, and I was like, how am I here and feel so good?
Yeah, it's a completely different outlook in life, isn't it? Your perspective has changed so much, and
I don't have to worry about it. Like I don't have to think, oh well, I'm going to get ill if I go away. Like it's just not a thing. Like I probably have to think, right, where am I going to eat? And
but that's easy.
A little bit about food, but it's so easy. So even when I went to Africa, it was easier than here.
Let's talk about this. Let's talk about this because this is a phenomenal achievement, and one that, you know, not many people can do. So what exactly did you do in Africa?
So I climbed Kilimanjaro.
How crazy is that?
It was amazing, and it was one of the reasons why I had it booked, and I was like, it was one of the reasons why I contacted you guys as well, because I was like, I can't be ill. Like I will not be able to do it if I'm ill, and there's no way I'm not doing it. And to be able to do that and not be in pain, not have to worry about the toilet, and because obviously it's like camping on a mountain for 7 days, or 8 days, I can't remember how long it was. And it's what you're putting your body through, what you're putting your mind through, and everything. And I was actually worried that I wouldn't be able to do that before I started talking to you guys. And the fact that everything leading up to it resulted in me being able to get to the top and not even have a twinge of pain. I mean, obviously like aching from the walking, but like arthritis wise, like not having any, the chefs there were amazing. They really catered for my diet. But not having anything wrong with like toilet wise, like it was just, for me, that was like my goal. I was like, I need to get better and I need to get to the top.
And you did it. And you did it. You did both things, you know, such an achievement.
Did both things,
And how good does that feel? Just like when you self-reflect like that and you go, right, where I was to where I am now. How humbling is it? How humbling is it? How, like you feel so grateful for what you've been through, and just like, and this is just the beginning, Brooke. You know, it's only been 10 months. You know, and it's like you've got so much ahead of you, and like you've got so many more challenges that you probably want to do as well. Like, and just to think that you did this year is pretty amazing. You know, from where you were to where you are now. It's
from like this time last year. Like how I was this time last year to now, it's wild. It's crazy.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's really been life.
So So what just about the food and stuff now. So like you obviously eat a whole food plant-based diet. So what, I mean, you're probably making new recipes all the time. Like how are you finding this way of life now that you've done it for about 10 months? Like what,
Yeah.
you know, how do you feel? What's going on?
So yeah, I'm feeling really good. It's obviously great because I've got a lot more variety in my diet now than obviously when we first started. So I'll still have a smoothie for breakfast like every morning. Love my smoothie for
I don't think
breakfast.
anyone can miss that. I don't think anyone can miss that.
No. So yeah, so I'll always have that. I love making like big vegetable chilies, like with loads of beans and stuff like that now. I make a nice lentil bolognese with like a load of mushrooms and just the air fries, like salads. Love my salads. Yeah, really love making a big salad. I actually need to send you a recipe of one I've been making recently because it's unreal.
Yeah. Please do.
green. It's like a cabbage one, but it's lovely. Yeah, and just it's even like all the colour in the food you eat. Like before, you like eating loads of beige stuff. I'm like, why would you do that?
Beige.
Yeah,
like
beige food.
Brown.
Yeah. But yeah, lots of obviously fruit and veg and like quinoa. I love quinoa. So if we go for dinner, like we try to stick to like sushi because I can obviously have the vegetable sushi.
Thai.
But yeah, Thai's great. Yeah, always a great option. And look, sometimes you can't avoid a bit of oil.
No.
But
that's the balance. That's the balance that you have. And
it's not like I've had that and then been really ill because my body's like detoxed almost. I've got everything out. It's like okay, I know if I'm going to have that, I will be really, really, really strict. Like I will almost then strip it back to just the fruit and veg and like, no, do you know what I mean? So that doesn't affect me too much. And you can't help that sometimes. And, you know, it is hard, but 99% of the time I stick to, everything that you told me to do.
And that's because you want to stay healthy. You want to stay in this zone. You want to stay in this groove. Like why would you want to compromise by eating something and then you kind of feel groggy or you feel crap?
And also I know what it feels like to be that ill and to be this well. And it's like, why would you ever?
It keeps you in this
just purely through food. Yeah, it's just like, why would I ever go? Why? Like, it's not worth it. It's not worth it at all.
Especially when you've got these beautiful foods that you can eat and you want like there's nothing wrong with them. You have lots of variety, you know, and it's delicious
so much
food.
variety.
It's delicious food, probably more than you ever had.
Yeah. Yeah, it's great. Yeah, no, I eat a lot.
Well, I mean, this has been pretty amazing, and for you to turn your life around like that is, you know, it's no words can describe that. I mean, nobody knows what you're going through, maybe except for the people that have UC. But you know, when you get to the other side, it's like you can't describe that feeling unless you get there. You know, because you know, I said that to you. I said, look, you know. Wait till you start to see how I feel and see how my body is working, and then you understand why I do what I do and why I did what I did as well. And like here you are, and this is just, you know, it's incredible to see another person that's been able to change their lives, and not only that, you know now, like your threshold, you know what's good for you, you know that you're what you can handle, and you won't. You won't go see a doctor again unless it's an emergency or you need a blood test, you know, and also the fact that you're not on any medications. Like how cool is that? How good does that feel? You're not waking up in the morning and popping a pill, you know?
I know. It's crazy. But it's so, I just think if anyone, like honestly watching the testimonials, it's obviously why I'm like happy to do one as well. Is because watching that is what made me think, right, you need to just give it a go and just go for it. Because if I hadn't have like seen all them, I probably would still just be like, oh, well, what am I doing? And it's seeing people heal themselves when doctors are like, yeah, you can't, yeah, it's incurable, you're just on drugs the rest of your life. And it's like, not the case. Not the case at all.
Well, it doesn't have to be that, you know.
No.
Everybody has a choice. You know, you're not forced to do anything that you don't want to do. And this is where you know, people, you guys that are watching, you know, you guys need to make the decisions for yourselves. Don't let someone else do that for you. You know, the doctors, they have some kind of sense of authority that you just, if a doctor says something like, oh, diet has nothing to do with it, just walk out, turn around and just find a plant-based.
And also, don't feel silly because, like, when I obviously first started this diet, I'm sure a lot of people thought that's not going to work. Do you know what I mean? Because people do. People don't think that you could heal yourself through diet. Like people,
they get in your head.
People don't know about it. They don't know about it. Like I didn't really, obviously, until the dog and everything with that. Like I didn't even realize that was like a route you can go down. And then obviously I got the book. What's the book called?
Self-Healing.
Yes. And read that, and it just like it opens up a whole new world. And then you like start looking into, I mean, you can really go down like a deep dive, can't you? With it, yes, the best book ever. But yeah, you can really go down a deep dive, and yeah, it's the whole thing, isn't it? It's diet, it's mindfulness, it's just like even the fluorides and stuff like that, like in your changing your toothpaste and getting a water filter and things like that. It's a whole, it's a lifestyle change, but I now am living a life. Like before, I was just
you weren't. So. Yeah, that's right. Before you were just sick, and that's not how you want to live your life. And I think you've done something about it, Brooke. And I think it's pretty amazing. You've sort of taken the initiation and gone, right, what can I do to help myself? You know, and you've it's just it's so uplifting and it's so inspiring. You know, for me even. You know, you guys inspire me because, you know, seeing you go through what you went through and then seeing you now and then all the things that you've done since, it's incredible. It's incredible to see that I was in that place too. And, you know, I'm here now. You were in the place too that you were. You're here now. You've sort of looked at your life in a completely different perspective. You've potentially worked on whatever trauma that you had, whatever anxiety that you had, you've made something of it, you've done something about it, and you're not anxious as much as you were, you're not so worried, and you get on with your life. You get on with your life in a way that you're happier, you're healthier. I mean, how much, is there anything else that you do? You know, you wouldn't, because you're just so content, you know, with what you're doing right now.
I mean, it's just day to day, like just day to day. I just feel very calm, like very calm. And yeah, it's hard to describe a feeling, isn't it? That's what I was telling everyone when they're like, oh, what's it like at the top of the mountain? I'm like, I cannot tell you. Like, I can't tell you. Like, there's no way of explaining it.
Well, you have to get there.
Feeling of, well,
you know how it's like, you know how we the healing journey is like climbing a mountain as well, but you did it physically. You know, you actually did it. Yeah, you did both, which is incredible. But yeah, I mean, it's crazy. So let's finish up with maybe some advice that you give someone, you know, who is watching. What advice would you?
So my advice would be, don't feel silly for thinking this is even a road you can go down. Don't listen to what anyone has to say. Do what you think is right and what you feel is right for your body, because it's your body, and at the end of the day, doctors are just like, obviously they're amazing and they do a lot of great things, but when it comes to things like this, they're kind of just following the process. And there's not a lot of research, so trust your body. And you are the only person that, like, you have you as a priority, and you're the only like, you are your highest priority. And I think that you've just got to keep that in mind, and just what have you got to lose? Literally, what have you got to lose?
That's it. You've got nothing.
Because all you really have, like, you will just gain.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, wise words. You know, wise words from another person who's done the unthinkable. You know,
Yeah.
so yeah, thanks so much for sharing your story.
Thank you. Thank you
No,
for
you're
helping me.
welcome. Yeah, you know, you're welcome, and it's so good to see. And look, you know, when I come to Europe, when I come to UK, you know, we'll catch up.
Yes,
And
definitely.
this is the cool thing about, you know, what I do as well. You're not a client anymore; you're a friend. You know, and
Hmm.
that's really cool to see. And yeah, if you ever you'll come to Australia, and you know we'll catch up here as well.
Definitely.
There's lots of cool things to do. Have you been here before?
Yeah, I have. I actually went when I was 18. I went for like
Yeah.
3 months. Yeah,
Oh
yeah, I did a
wow.
little. Yeah, I've
Okay.
been up to Cairns where you are. Yeah,
Yeah, nice,
yeah,
nice. Well, there's
it's
lots of
great.
adventures to do still. So when you come down under, even if you come to New Zealand, you know, I might
Yes,
be there. Who knows?
yeah,
But
definitely.
yeah, all the best. I mean, you've done such an amazing job, and you know you'll
Thank you.
continue to shine. You know, just continue to shine. I mean, look at you now. It's incredible to see you. You're looking so well and healthy. So you know,
Thank you.
keep going, and you know, congratulations for everything that you've done, and you know, you now have a life after colitis.
I know. I know. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.